What's up guys, it's Sarah X. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sarah. I'm 24 years old. I currently live in San Francisco, and today we're talking all about San Francisco neighborhoods. I have lived in San Francisco for just over a year now. And again, this whole video is just gonna be from my experience, my opinion. People might have other opinions, other experiences, but this is all from my point of view, having lived here for just over a year. So whether you're like interested in visiting San Francisco for a vacation, if you're interested in moving here, if you just wanna know someone's perspective on some of the more popular neighborhoods in San Francisco, then just keep watching and I'll let you know my take on the neighborhoods that I've visited at least a couple times. First neighborhood I want to talk about is SOMA, because that is where I've lived for the past year or so. So SOMA, it basically stands for South of Market Street. The thing is, it's definitely not the best part of town. It was originally a pretty good place to live because a lot of the offices are around SOMA or in SOMA. And so it's nice to be here if you're like commuting into the office. But now that a lot of the offices are closed, it's like, that was like the big plus about it. I would say it's one of the areas that does have more of the homeless people. Basically, like around the areas that I live, I do see a lot of homeless people on the streets. You go like into certain narrower streets or like under the bridge and there'll just be like a lot of tents. So it is one of the more homeless populated parts of town. I would say there's like a decent amount of young people who live in this neighborhood just because it is pretty central. It's like very easy to get to a lot of the other neighborhoods. Like our friends will typically congregate at our place because it is more central. There's not a lot of like nature or parks per se. It's more like office buildings, apartment buildings, some like coffee shops, not that far away from like Westfield Mall, I guess. I think my favorite part of SOMA is Yerba Buena, which is kind of like this garden little plaza thing that also has like a playground for children and a lot of like seating areas. And there's actually like a bowling alley there and an ice skating rink there, which have been closed this whole time. But that's my favorite part, and that's also right by a huge shopping center, like where Target, Trader Joe's is. And from where I used to live in SOMA, that was like less than a mile away from me, but now it's like 1.5 miles away from me. So that's probably my favorite part of it. Also around that area, there is the MoMA Art Museum. So there are like a couple of museums in SOMA as well. There's like a little fountain area. I do like the Yerba Buena part of SOMA. But in terms of like, if you want to be in a more aesthetic, naturey part of town, I wouldn't recommend SOMA, but it is good for central living and it is pretty walkable to a lot of different things such as Yerba Buena. People wouldn't really call SOMA like a bougie part of town. It's kind of like, oh, honestly, people at my work kind of refer to SOMA as like kind of ratchet. I don't know. That's like the vibe. So yeah, that is my opinion on SOMA. I have lived here for a year. Definitely have seen nicer neighborhoods. Okay, so let's move on to the financial district. The financial district is it's kind of like almost attached to SOMA, but it's closer to the water and it has more high rises. So this is probably most similar if I were to compare it to another city, to New York. Obviously not as bustling, but in terms of how it looks, more similar to New York, like in terms of like the Manhattan area with all the high rises. A lot of the corporate headquarters are here. We don't really come here to like hang on the weekends just because it is mostly just buildings where people live and work. But it is nice to look at if you want that city vibe. There are some restaurants in the area as well. And in terms of living, I do have a friend who kind of lives in this area. There are a lot of like luxury apartments and it's super close to get to Embarcadero, which is a very nice little place to walk, to like exercise, to just hang out. So I like that it's closer to the water. I have heard it being called the Wall Street of the West, so that's kind of the vibe. I've never seen it as bustling as Wall Street though, maybe because of the pandemic. I guess one of the bigger attractions in the financial district would be the Salesforce Tower. It's like the main thing you see in the skyline of San Francisco. It it's pretty colorful on the top, it changes colors. And in the Salesforce Tower, there is Salesforce Park, which is free to the public, and it's like a park that's kind of, it's not at the top, but it's like in the middle of Salesforce Tower. It's a pretty big park. You get a great view of all the buildings around you. So that would probably be my favorite part of Financial District. I think it's a decent place to live, just not a lot to do in the area, but again, close in proximity to places that have more things to do. Let's talk about the Tenderloin. So the thing is, you'll find a lot of probably nice apartments for super cheap in the Tenderloin because it's not the best part of town. It is a little interesting because this is probably where the most homeless people congregate. It's like the homeless people's home is the Tenderloin. So I don't know, if you were like a girl in like your early 20s living alone, I probably would not recommend living in the Tenderloin. I do know people who have done that, but you just have to like be tough. I don't know, like I accidentally ended up in the Tenderloin once and I was a little scared for my life. I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely outnumbered by homeless people. They were giving me seedy looks. I felt like I was being followed. I really felt like my heart was racing. I felt like I had to walk really fast. I was like looking for other people to kind of walk behind. Yeah, I don't recommend the Tenderloin to live in, even though you will find a lot of cheap real estate there for that reason. There are some cool little shops in the area though, like my friend and I went to an Indian shop to get some ingredients. So there are some shops like that, and there are nicer parts of it. There is also the American Conservatory Theater there. I just haven't been that often because again, I do not like the vibe of it. Does not have a great reputation, and in terms of touristy things, I think there are better things to do than visit the Tenderloin. Number 4, let's talk about Hayes Valley. So Hayes Valley, I really enjoy. I would call it quaint. It's like less than a mile from SOMA, but in the opposite direction of the water. And honestly, Hayes kind of reminds me of Chicago a little bit in terms of the way the shops are set up. This is where like Allbirds is, some of the more like techie stores, more like high-end stores. And it's really nice because there's like these beautiful trees that line the shops, and then like they put cute lights along the trees, and then there's like a lot of outdoor seating, outdoor restaurants. It just reminds me of like a cute suburb in Chicago. And my favorite part is there's this little open plaza kind of in the middle of all the shops, and there's always a lot of families like and dogs there just chilling. There's like a lot of ice cream stores in this area, great ice cream shops like Salt and Straw and this other local one I forgot the name of. So this is where we like to go if we want to get ice cream, if we want to eat outdoors, or if you're in the mood for some shopping. One of my friends got a pair of Allbirds from the Allbirds store. There's not like too much to do there. You can spend like a day there, but it is a nice little place to visit. It is a great place to live as well. I did have a friend who lived right by the plaza, and she would live like right on top of like a candy store. I would say it's a decently safe area to live, more family oriented. I really like Hayes, and it is close to the Painted Ladies, which if you don't know what that is, it's like in the intro of Full House, when they zoom in and they're all running on the hill, that's like the Painted Lady. So it's very close to that area, aka like Alamo Square Park. I'd say there's a lot of like young families there. That would be the vibe, in my opinion. Next up, let's talk about the Castro. Your girl loves to visit the Castro. Castro is basically a rainbow unicorn exploded and created the Castro. It is the gay district of San Francisco. That's like what it's known for. You'll know you're there because there's literally rainbows everywhere, just like rainbows there, rainbows everywhere, rainbows in the shop. Everything's super colorful. There's like a 90% chance that you'll see like naked men walking around. I'm not gonna lie, that's just the vibe. You will definitely probably be outnumbered by the gays here, and I love it. I would describe Castro as extra in a good way. Castro is my favorite spot to brunch. best brunch spots in the Castro. Seriously, like there's Orphan Andy's, there's Me and Tasty, there's like Fable. So many brunch spots in the Castro, it's not even funny. There's also this huge Soul Cycle kind of in the middle of all the shops. There are a decent amount of kind of interesting specialty stores, you know? Just a little almost like kinky stores over there. It's very actually pretty and pretty close to Corona Heights, which is like this little hike viewpoint of the city. There's also the Castro Theater, which I don't think has been open since I've been here, but it is very pretty and vintage looking. So there's this place called the Twin Peaks Bar, and apparently that's the first gay bar in the city, possibly in the US. So that's pretty cool, I think. I think Castro would be a great place to live by just because my friends and I are always there on the weekend. It's just really fun. All right, on to Mission Bay. So I feel like Mission Bay is kind of like the up and coming area. There's a lot of things being built there right now. It is more so, there are a lot of offices in that area as well, but I don't know, how do I describe Mission Bay? But like UCSF has part of their campus there, and then also there is Chase Center Stadium, which I've not been to, but yeah, that stuff is there. There's also like, so in one of my vlogs, we went to Spark Social, which is this outdoor food area with all the food trucks. So that's over there. There are honestly like a lot of apartments and condos there, and also just being built there all the time. And there is like this little stretch of water that you can go kayaking on. It's more like spread out. It's not like quaint like Hayes Valley. It's kind of like miscellaneous, to be honest. There's just like random little things to do. There's a lot of breweries, a lot of markets, like fresh produce markets. It is kind of like isolated from other parts of the city. It's more like in its own little corner, but we do definitely go there sometimes for the Spark Social. Stagecoach Greens is also there, which is like a mini golf thing. Yeah, I would describe Mission Bay as just a little miscellaneous, but decent area. Pretty safe, I'd say. I had a friend who used to work there at Mission Bay Wine and Cheese. Haight-Ashbury, again, one of my favorite little spots in town. I love Haight-Ashbury because it has a strip of thrift stores. Like the main road has just thrift stores after thrift stores and just really cool shops. It kind of almost has a hippie vibe, to be honest. There's a lot of like murals and just interesting things going on there usually. A lot of people just hanging outdoors. It is also very close to Golden Gate Park / the Panhandle area, just a couple blocks down and you're at the park. So I think that's really cool and convenient if you want to be by Golden Gate Park, which I think is a great place to live by. The houses here are very Victorian and beautiful and kind of like old school. So I would imagine it's a little more expensive to get a house in this area, but there definitely are options because we have a friend who lives in that area kind of close by, and their rent is not bad at all, and I do like their proximity to Golden Gate Park. So Haight-Ashbury, definitely check it out if you're visiting. Check out all the stores. Awesome stores, good amount of food too, so definitely worth a look. Okay, so the Mission. The Mission is actually where I went to go get my COVID vaccine. It is really rich in, I think, Latino culture. There's a lot of great Mexican food, a lot of great art down there, just like on the walls, a lot of great like local businesses. My roommate and I just went to a bread shop there. It was called La Victoria, and it had a lot of good pastry breads. Honestly, let me just look. Like this. This is literally, we got from the Mission, and the lady who worked there was so nice. There's a very like family-oriented vibe in terms of like the culture there. It's like its own little aesthetic. I would describe it as a little more hipster. I wouldn't call it like the safest place, but it's definitely not unsafe. I do see a decent amount of homeless people when I go there, but it is always fun to get food there. Again, great Mexican food, tacos, burritos, everything. I would describe it as very vibrant, a bit hipster. I wouldn't put like super safe on there. There's also some thrift stores in this area, and it's like close to Dolores Park, which is one of the biggest parks in the city in terms of popularity. And so it would be nice, I think, to live around Dolores Park just because it's a nice place to picnic, to hang out with friends, and to just chill. So that's how I feel about the Mission. North Beach. So I actually, you know what? I have a very positive outlook on North Beach. I have a friend who used to live there. And so here's the thing about North Beach. I would say it's like poppin'. It's the poppin' part of town. In terms of the fact that there's like strip clubs, it's like just rows and rows of strip clubs. And then like a lot of like bars and stuff like that. So like the nightlife is really good in North Beach from what I've experienced. It's also, there's a lot of like Italian restaurants and cafes here. When we were visiting our friend, we went to like an Italian cafe and got a bunch of their little desserts. Also, it might be misleading because it's not really like an actual beach, like you're not on the beach. It's just kind of called North Beach. You are relatively kind of close to the water, but you're not on a beach. At least I don't think you are, unless it's hidden. So if you think you're moving to North Beach and you're just gonna be like on a beach, that's not really the situation. But it is good for nightlife. I think a lot of young people do live in that area. I honestly don't go over there that often, but it is a fun place to live for sure. Now I kind of want to talk about what I consider like the bougie four in terms of places to live. Bougie four. So we have the Marina, we have Presidio, we have Nob Hill, and Pacific Heights. Even the names, I feel like the names themselves, like Nob Hill, Presidio, it just sounds so bougie to me. And then like even like the Tenderloin, that just sounds like seedy and sketchy. But then you get to like Nob Hill, I just picture like bougie, like bag on hand, small dog in the other hand. That's kind of the vibe I get from these four. So if we're gonna break it down specifically, Marina, bougie and nice, close to a bunch of naturey stuff, and then you're close to like the Palace of Fine Arts, which is a really nice place to visit, really beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Europe. And then you're also close to Fort Mason, which is a beautiful park. You're kind of closest to the Golden Gate Bridge. Not a lot of homeless people, great area, mostly families I'd say though, unless, I'd say mostly families, I don't know. That's just the vibe I get at least. When I go over there, like literally when I leave SOMA and I go to Marina, it's just a whole different vibe. And then I come back to SOMA and I'm kind of like, ew. I feel like Marina's not like the most diverse neighborhood though. Pacific Heights has Alta Plaza, which is one of my friend's favorite parks because you get a great like 360-degree view of everything around you. You can see the water, you can see the other whatever. So Alta Plaza is really nice in Pacific Heights. There are a lot of like high schools and just schools in general in this area. It is very expensive, I'd say, but there are a lot of cute houses. So depending on what stage of life you're in, Pacific Heights could be nice. Presidio, I would describe as like golf course vibes. There's like a huge golf course. I went there once and I heard a lot of like the suburban mom talk. It's just very like, it's almost like the suburbs over there in terms of the aesthetic. Very posh, very put together, and very expensive. You also have Crissy Fields over around Presidio, which is again a very nice little park. I think Baker Beach is in the area, which is a nice beach that has a view of Golden Gate Bridge. I did like a late night event with my friends there where we just like kind of chilled and played guitar, and it was really beautiful, I'm not gonna lie. And then Nob Hill, I feel like I haven't gone to Nob Hill that much. I feel like it's a very hilly part of town. There's a lot of like bougie restaurants and hotels in that area. So that's how I would describe the bougie four. Great, probably safest parts of town, and every time I go there and come back to SOMA, I feel a little bit, you know, like I have traveled to a different part of the US. Japantown is fun. We like to go to Japantown because there's Nijiya Market, which has great Japanese snacks and Asian snacks and all those things that you can't find at like Trader Joe's or Target. And then there's also like a Korean store. There's a lot of ethnic stores that you can get cool ingredients and from that you can't find in other basic stores. There is a cute little like building that's kind of Japanese-esque in this plaza, and there's like a little mall that has cute little Asian shops. I think it's amazing. I've been to a poke restaurant there. There's also a Goodwill there that I like to go sometimes too. Great sushi and ramen, I'd say average in terms of how safe it is. And yeah, I've only gone there pretty much for the plaza area with the shops, but I've enjoyed it every single time I've gone there. I don't know if I would live there just because I don't know if there's like that much to do, but I do enjoy visiting it. And then Chinatown is also really cool. There's like the Dragon's Gate, which is apparently the only authentic Chinatown gate in the country, whatever that means. I have seen it. It is very cool. Again, a very hilly part of town. I had rolled ice cream there once. Oof, it was really good. Chinatown, as per usual, great place to get souvenirs. You'll find like t-shirts and you'll find like sweaters for like pretty cheap. Although if you want cuter ones, I'd go to Fisherman's Wharf because they have more like in style, but Chinatown has like probably more variety and cheaper. Great dim sum, great food. Great. There's like a lot of karaoke here too. I feel like I should go more often because I feel like I've only been there like 2 times since I've lived here, but I think it's a great place to visit. Again, not sure what it'd be like to live there though. All right, so those are all the neighborhoods I'm gonna talk about because those are the only ones that I've like really been to. I hope that this was helpful if you were interested in visiting or interested in moving here. Please leave any comments from your experiences or questions if you have them in the comments below, and I will definitely answer. Just really want to help you guys out. And again, this is all from my personal experience. If you've had a different experience, also comment that. I would love to like hear about it. I will talk to you guys in the next video.